Trigger warning. If you happen to be eating something while watching this video, I suggest you either put the video on hold or stop eating. It might disagree with you. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. This was a tweet I came across. EU greenlights worms in food. Ursula von der Leyen signed that one off. The EU has officially approved regulations permitting mealworms in common food products, including bread, pasta, processed potatoes, dairy and even fruit compote. Up to 4 grams of worms per 100 grams of food without clear labelling for consumers. Now, up to 4 grams per 100 grams sounds to me more like contamination thing. That is, they've decided to let food producers allow a certain level of insect contamination in their food. That's a common enough thing. That in itself is nothing to get excited about, actually. But that is not the only thing, of course. It says here, the push for sustainable protein isn't about choice, it's about normalising insect consumption while elites dine on steak and caviar. Are Europeans even aware they're eating bugs? Or is this just another forced agenda wrapped in a green disguise? Well, to start with, as I said, the 4 grams per 100 grams could be just one of those things where an official recognises that there's going to be some contamination, especially of things like flour. So on the face of it, that's all it is. But not so. Because I found when I started looking into it that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of articles online all extolling the virtues of eating insects, all of them. Now, I know there have been lots of jokes about Schwab saying you shall eat the bugs, but there's definitely something going on. Here, look at all of this. This is an article that appeared in an online thing called Be the Story. Oh, that looks absolutely delightful, doesn't it? Now, no, it's not a tale from a survival manual. This new food is an example of how society and technology adapt to the needs of the population and to the planet's needs. So here it's entirely positive. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It says that mealworms are the larval form of the Tenebrio molitor beetle, also known as the mealworm beetle. And there was, any of you have seen that famous Eisenstein film, Battleship Potemkin, you will see that the mutiny, the cause of the mutiny was when the men found that the bread they'd been issued with was just crawling with life. And that started the Russian Revolution. And here we have these people telling us that it really is all right. Did you know that 80% of the world population already includes insects in their daily diets? Well, of course, 80% of the population includes insects, so that makes it right, doesn't it? You know, like 100 years ago, 90% of the world population kept slaves. But of course, that's 90%, so that makes it all right, doesn't it? Here they have, also, what's this? Indestructibles.com. And they're talking here about mealworm flour. Doesn't this look appetizing? Yum. Look at this. Oh, delicious. All right, and here you can actually buy mealworm powder. It says here JR Unique Foods, in case you're interested. And these guys, they're sold out of mealworm powder. And here's an article about mealworms. I'm going to stop for a little break here. I thought that might amuse you. Maybe I'll put that up again. Anyway, let's have a look at this. It's a bit, mealy, according to Sam Wollaston. I don't know how much they paid him. Now, this is all from 2021. So although that tweet I showed you, hang on, I'll bring it back, is a recent one, it turns out that this has been going on for at least 4 years now. And we don't know what's in our food anymore because according to this, at least 4% of it, at least to the extent that it might have 4% mealworms in it, we wouldn't be told. It's a bit mealy, dry, a little crunchy, not strongly flavoured, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Salt would probably help, or chilli, lime, something, anything to spice it up a bit. I'm eating mealworms. Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, it wouldn't be a chilli or lime or anything. It would be a healthy dose of a benzodiazepine or something like that, so that I'm not conscious of what I'm eating. Why? Because they are nutritious, made up mainly of protein, fat and fibre, and also highly allergenic, because there's something that forms a sort of protein that forms the external shell-like outside of most insects. However thin it is, it's a substance called chitin, which looks like it should be pronounced chitin, but it's pronounced chitin. And it is the same sort of stuff you find in shellfish. And a lot of people are quite catastrophically allergic to shellfish. Now, the point is, a lot of people aren't that allergic to shellfish. But if they were forced to eat things like mealworms every day and getting a chitin overload, they are very likely to become sensitized. That's a tendency that happens when you're exposed to something that you might not be allergic to start with, but then there's a sort of overkill effect. Okay, so although it appears that these are full of protein, they do have their problems, and none of these articles here are giving any airtime to that. I had to look long and hard for the stuff that's, now I'm trying to find it again, here we are, for the problems of eating mealworms. And the first thing they talk about is allergies and microbial and heavy metal contamination. Because you see, insects not only are composed partly of chitin, but they also manage to get a lot of microbes in their guts and heavy metals for some reason. Now, what's the point of eating insects? Well, you can say they live on stuff like flour and they turn themselves into protein. So you've got something that lives on vegetable matter and becomes protein. You can say the same thing about cows, can't you? So why they think that worms are a better idea, well, it took me a while to find this as well. For some reason that I can't explain, maybe you can, there's very little about the downside of eating insects unless you go into medical literature. But I did find this: whether you're an entomophagist or not, I'm assuming a phage means to eat, so I assume that means somebody who likes to eat insects. You should have come across at least an article or two touting the benefits of insects as a sustainable food source. From online articles to government reports, the general consensus seems to be edible insects are sustainable and we should consider eating them to save the planet. If only it were that simple. Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people have simple ideas to complicated problems, and it's very unlikely that you actually hear of the complications. In the following exclusive excerpt from On Eating Insects, a book from Nordic Food Lab written by Joshua Evans, Roberto Flore and Michael Baum-Frost, due to release on May the 1st. And this is about 7 years old, this article, so the book is out. You can learn more about the complexities of this issue. The idea that every insect species is universally sustainable is deceptive. First, the means of procurement is not always sustainable. In some cases, wild harvesting may lead to overexploitation. And if these insects live on flour, you're still going to have to grow the grain to feed the insects. So again, as I say, you do that for cows. Although actually it's probably worse now I come to think of it, because cows can live on grass, any grass. And sometimes pretty poor quality grass. They may not produce the best meat, but they can survive. Cows, goats, sheep, that sort of thing, especially goats. Bugs require, if you're going to farm them, processed foods. You're going to have to grow grain, turn it into flour, and then process it in various ways to make sure that you're getting only one type of bug in there and not a whole load of other bugs. So altogether, it sounds to me a lot like maybe a bit of a scam. Overall, the realities of rearing insects on different substrates and on a large scale are yet to be fully understood and may bring with them hidden or unforeseen environmental cost. Well, as I was outlining some of the things that I just thought of. Right, so if you're interested, that book is called On Eating Insects. We might consider, I mean, apart from the fact that processing the food to feed the insects might be environmentally terrible, and of course the medical outcomes of eating insects might be even worse, we could sort of consider the idea that perhaps all you guys in America having your houses undermined by termites, well, let's face it, if you turn the termites into pies, then that might be quite useful for you. I can just imagine the scene. Little Eric dawdling over his supper while his harassed mum is shoveling termite grubs into a bucket and telling him to eat up before the house falls down. And of course, it brings a whole new meaning to the general comment that tonight we're having a couple of ants over for supper. And for dessert, well, what else but fruit fly? Which reminds me of, you might have to think of this. A lot of people don't get it first off. And it goes like this. It's one of those logic jokes. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. Think about it. Okay, meanwhile, I have to tell you that this morning I found a spider in the shower, and I'm afraid I was unimaginative enough to trap it in a soap tray and then put it out the window. And now I come to think of it, I could have turned it into the Sunday roast. After all, that way everyone gets a leg. OK, oh, I almost forgot. Take it away, Dr. Lazarus. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.